So unfortunately with this one, I made a couple of mistakes. Can't quite see it, but I got this blistering with the paint that I mentioned that I'm going to mention in the wrap up part of the video, and that one ended up being pretty good. I actually took that plate and took it down to metal. I ended up getting a water stain that I could not get out, but I was not confident of my ability to take this cast iron down too far. I'm going to try it again with a little bit more control, and maybe with by hand, which will just be a much longer process. This one you can see I tried to repaint. I only put one coat back. So this is going to be taken off with a sandblaster probably in June, when I know the temperature is going to be a lot warmer. Everything else worked out pretty well. When I took this apart, I put a little bit of machine oil on the lead screw that tilts it to 45 degrees, as well as the gear that raises and lowers the blade. But I need to go find grease, like you would find, like heavy grease to put in. But that's going to happen later when I clean up a couple of these things. For now, it seems to work great. It's about half as quiet as my old one. Well, this is still my old one, but half as quiet as the motor that was replaced. And I have to find a new hand wheel. Well, everybody, thanks for watching. This was phase 1 of my Craftsman 10-inch table saw rebuild video. This all started because about the middle of January, maybe the end of the year last year, about 6 weeks ago, my table saw stopped working. I didn't know why. Looking into it, I pulled the motor off, tried to run the motor by itself. It wouldn't run. I tried to change the bearings in the motor, but the motor, I don't exactly know what happened to it. I'm guessing sawdust got trapped in it, and then during a really, really couple of week rainy weather, I think it collected moisture and rusted the little carriage for the guts of the motor to the case. And around that time, a friend of mine gave me a motor, and that motor worked. Before I installed it, when I installed it, I noticed that it would barely spin the blade. I thought that was kind of strange. So I tore the entire table saw down, and I was noticing all kinds of little nicks, scratches, dents in the chassis and the wings. So I decided to try to get rid of all of it and repaint it. Not necessarily down to bare metal, but I figured if I got everything really scuffed up well, and I could paint it with some white enamel paint that I had. And I did that, changed the bearings on the arbor for the saw. Right away when I got the new bearings in, which took like 2 weeks, you could tell that they spun so much better than the old bearings. And that definitely probably was a contributing factor to the other motor failing as well. I think the old motor will still work, and I hope to restore it at some point when I figure out how to remove it from the outer case, because it still wants to spin, but it can't, basically. And that's a 1.5 horsepower motor, and this is a 1 horsepower motor. But that being said, I think it came out great. Unfortunately, while I was painting, I ran out of a certain paint, and when I went to go do a second coat of paint, I must have done something wrong in the prep. because I got all of this bubbling and really, really nasty paint peel situation. And then I was using blue originally, which I might put in the video. And then after I was going through my old paints, I found a full can of red. And since Craftsman is red, I thought it only applicable that I try to make the detailing red. And then when I was repainting that, again, I must have done something wrong with the prep, because I got the same type of very strange paint peel effect. So I resolved that a little bit, but I am out of time. I need the table saw back, and I'm going to try to get this video out by the Wednesday deadline. So I'm going to try. I tried to film as best detail as I could. There was a lot of things going on at the same time, because this is accumulated pieces over the course of about 4 weeks of me trying to get different details of the saw done. I'll take a couple of final pictures, and hopefully in about mid-June, when I know the average temperature is definitely above the 60s, I'm going to take a sandblaster and hopefully redo the wings and the detailed metal plates, because those were the ones that messed up. Thankfully, the chassis and frame and the stand turned out really, really well. That being said, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you next week.